Some breaking news. Nigel Farage has accused the British government of trying to thwart a mission to send aid to Chagos Islands. Now, the leader of Reform UK flew to the Maldives last week with equipment to assist 4 Chagosians who are attempting to establish a permanent base on a deserted island in the archipelago. Right, so let's just bring you that breaking news once again. So basically, Nigel Farage has accused the British government of trying to thwart a mission to send the aid to Chagos Islanders. The Reform UK leader flew to the Maldives last week with equipment to assist 4 of them who were there trying to establish a permanent base. Well, let's speak to Sarah Pochin from Reform UK. She's the MP for Runcorn and Halesby. Sarah, I'm going to get your thoughts on this first because it's just broken, but then I want to talk about puberty blockers. So, Sarah, what are your thoughts? So it sounds as though the British government have blocked Nigel for assisting and sending aid.
Yes, Nana, isn't the news real crazy at the moment? The news is changing so rapidly. So this story has just broken. I know that Nigel was very supportive of the mission that had landed, the mission, if you like, that had landed on one of the islands in the Chagos sort of archipelago, and was very supportive of the right of those people to go back to their homeland effectively. And of course, they were served within 24 hours with a notice to deport, to leave. And have we all noted, didn't we, how quickly the British government was able to act halfway around the world, serving 4 people a notice, a deportation notice, when of course we are quite unable to act on our borders inside our own country down on the south coast. So that in itself shows that when the government wants to act, it can do so. Absolutely shocking behaviour. Now, I think it's 4 people with a former military sort of commander have gone out there to make this point, to claim back their islands, and clearly are doing no harm. But I know there was a problem where they couldn't get any water, and I assume that what Nigel Farage was doing was going out with some equipment to help them do that. I don't know the details, but it sounds like, and I've just heard, as you've said, it's breaking news, it sounds like that mission has been blocked. For what reason? I don't know. I assume to drive these people or force these people off their home islands. They are Chagosians.
For a second time. I mean, it's absurd from the Prime Minister, who was talking about self-determination for the people of Greenland. He was very strong about that, but not so interested in the self-determination of the Chagosians. I mean, it's an absolute shocker, really, frankly.
The whole of the Chagos situation has been a disgrace, and we can just see once again, can't we? Starmer is weak. He is clearly not sure of what his own policy is on this, and I am sure that once again we will see a U-turn on this. He doesn't know what he's doing, and at the end of the day, British people want to see a Prime Minister that, even if they don't necessarily agree with what he's doing, at least has the courage of his convictions. But once again, we see with Chagos, it's in a right mess. The government's in a mess, and it's an embarrassment for the British people.
Well, he would probably argue that he's upholding international law and that he had this this ruling that said that he should give away the islands. I'm not sure why he decided to follow it, but it was apparently just an advisory.
Well, give them away and pay £35 billion over so many years to the Mauritians.
I mean, nobody in their right mind would do a deal like that, but for some odd reason, our Prime Minister thought that was a good idea. But I know the British public probably aren't happy about paying for that.
There's nothing more important than keeping your money and your identity safe online. And with so many VPN options available, choosing the right one can be pretty daunting. But this video's sponsor, ExpressVPN, is making the choice easier for GB News viewers. ExpressVPN is offering up to 75% off, plus 4 extra months free. That's top-level security from just £2.49 a month, and you're covered by their 30-day money-back guarantee. So just click the link in this video's description or scan the QR code now. Remember, when you're online, you are often sharing personal data, so hackers can steal your information, your passwords, your photos, and your bank details in just seconds. But ExpressVPN encrypts your connection, making it virtually impossible for hackers to access your personal information. So why choose ExpressVPN? Well, it couldn't be easier to use. With just one click, you are protected. And ExpressVPN uses military-grade AES 256 encryption, which is the same standard trusted by the US government to guard their classified information. With their new tiered plans, you can protect up to 14 devices at once and manage passwords securely. Live chat support is available 24/7, and it typically connects you in under a minute with a real person. Click the link in this video's description or scan the QR code to get up to 75% off ExpressVPN plus 4 months extra for free. Start protecting yourself today with ExpressVPN.
Right, let's speak to the spokesperson for the Friends of British Overseas Territories, Robert Midgley. Well, this is quite a development, so they are asserting their will on Nigel Farage. They're not happy with him going there and they're trying to stop him.
Yeah, Nana, I spoke to Nigel just a few days ago, and everything seems to be going very fine. But the thing that really gets me is the Maldives is actually claiming the Chagos Islands themselves. Oh. So they can work two ways with this. That they could either allow Nigel to go over and cause a bit of a drama with the Foreign Office, or they could let him go and sort of give a two-way, two fingers up to the British government here as well. But I've also heard in the last few hours that conservationists are complaining to the Foreign Office about Midgley and the other Chagosians actually ruining the islands here. So there's something going on where they want to restrict people going to the island altogether. But of course, if the islands were handed over to Mauritius, there's no conservation zone whatsoever in that deal. So these people who are complaining and trying to restrict movement to the islands, well, actually, none of this conservation matter would exist under the deal. So there's lots of little things going on right now that we're trying to get more information on.
So the island belongs or will be handed back to places beginning with M. It just seems it seems so random because the Maldives and also Mauritius don't really have any real claim to the territory at all. Why are the British government determined to hand it back to Mauritius, or hand it to Mauritius, not back, because they didn't have it in the first place?
So, I mean, Mauritius has been waging this lawfare for a few decades now. They had no claim. When Mauritius first became independent, they had rested no claim against the UK for about 20, 30 years. It was only until about 1980, I believe, that a socialist government came into Mauritius and started claiming the islands. And this was, of course, down to lawyers like Philippe Sands, who came to their rescue and started finding all these loopholes to try make a claim against the islands. But one of the big reasons why Mauritius wants these islands is because the Chagos Archipelago is one of the biggest untouched EEZs in the world, economic exclusion zones. So this means that they can go fishing, they've got access to all the mineral wealth. Of course, there's huge untapped potential in the Chagos Islands for mineral wealth and oil reserves. Everything like this is there. So Mauritius wants that so they can claim it for their own economic exclusion zone, which of course they have absolutely decimated. They've decimated their own fishing in Mauritian waters. So that's one of the big reasons why they want it, as well as, potentially selling off islands to places like India or China. Exactly. And I should point out that also Mauritius did a deal with India just a few months ago to give them fishing access to the Chagos Islands when the deal is complete. And I believe they'll be getting about $600 million to give to from India to give them the rights to go fishing in the Chagos Archipelago.
And very briefly then, Article 298 of the UN Convention on Law of the Sea exempted military bases. So this is where they were saying that basically John Healey had misled Parliament. I mean, have you read about that? And what does that mean, briefly?
No, I was the one who did the story last Sunday about this. Yeah. So we looked at the statement that John Healey did on the 22nd of May 2025, and he says there's an imminent ruling to give away the Chagos Islands. But of course, he didn't mention Article 298. And we only just got that confirmed last Thursday by the Minister that we are signed up to Article 298 in the United Nations Convention of the Laws of the Sea. So the big question is, why aren't we activating that? And also, the ruling hasn't come. There is no imminent court judgment to say that that ruling would be on its way. And if it did come, we could use Article 298 to defend ourselves. So there's a big thing here where one minister says one thing, another minister says the other, and it meant that all the Labour MPs who voted for the bill to come through, it means that they potentially be misled because they didn't know about the legal defence in all of this.
For some reason, they're desperate to join their great leader and give it away. It doesn't make any sense to me. Robert Midgley, we'll leave it there. Always a pleasure to talk to you. He's a spokesperson for the Friends of British Overseas Territory. Thank you very much, Robert. Right, let's get back to my panel. Former Labour Special Advisor and columnist Paul Richards, and also former Conservative MP Mark Field. Right, whose turn is it? Bing, bing. Is it you also looking at me? Mark Field?
We'll go for it. Listen, we'll wrap this up. This issue is going to run and run. We've talked about issues around the royal family today. We've obviously had a lot of debate on what's happening with tariffs. This is important. These are people's livelihoods that are at stake. Rightly, there are over a dozen or so overseas territories, many of quite small, places like the Cayman Islands, like Gibraltar, the Falkland Islands, St Helena. But, the BIOT, the British Indian Ocean Territory, there are people there who are very proud of the connections they have with the United Kingdom, and very proud and want to remain under the British flag. And I think that's something that should be close to our heart.
And not only that, it'd be a very great holiday destination if we could own it, wouldn't it? I'd go there for a holiday.
Well, Nigel has, by the look of it. But anyway,
he started in the Maldives, not bad.
I mean, the difference between all of those places, Falklands, Gibraltar, etc., is that the population still lived there. This population was removed, rightly or wrongly, in the late 60s, early 70s, and have been in the UK ever since. And that's why it's a very different case.
It's a slightly different case, but I think that we've got people who want to stay here, they want to return, and I think we should stand up for those rights.
Well, look, I've got to say, I think it's fascinating, really. I suspect that I don't think Keir Starmer's going to get away with this at all. I suspect that they will have to. Very briefly, do you think he's...
Well,
you turned number 16 or 17, is it? I can't remember. We're losing count.
I think it is a fluid situation.
All right, fair enough.